Hi guys, so I want to let you watch a clip and listen to another. One is of what is happening at Dover this week, and the other is a prediction made by a Brexiteer back in 2018 about what would or what would not happen at Dover. First, it's important to dismiss the rhetoric coming out from the likes of the Tory party that Brexit is not to blame here. These problems have been going on for months now, and the media have been covering it on and off. And the response from Brexit supporters in and outside of government have ranged from "it's the pandemic" to "it's the P&O ferries problem." Now, the pandemic and P&O have of course played their part in this, but the fact that Great Britain is now a third country can't be excused away.
A great alternative to polluting plastic fishing nets. They're amazing.
And this goes on and on and on. Now, I want to say thanks to Michael Lambert, my friend, who posted this. He says, "Remind me again, we import about 50% of our food mainly from the EU. Is that right?" Yeah, that's about right. He goes on to say, "I'm sure there are food producers all over the EU who can't wait to send lorry loads of food to sit in queues on the M20 this summer." And this is a very valid point that Michael has made here. This is not peak season. Things are going to get worse. Now, from the Tory party and their supporters, they've said, no, this has nothing to do with Brexit. It's to do with the pandemic. It's to do with the P&O ferries that have stopped at the moment. But this has been going on for months. Now, back in 2018, March 2018, I think it was, Chris Grayling, who was the Minister for the Secretary of State for Transport, said this on Question Time.
Kent, where Dover is the Garden of England, and a lorry park, because it's estimated that queues 20 miles long, 29 miles long, would be the result of a 2-minute check on lorries going through Dover. Chris Grayling, you're the Transport Minister, the Transport Secretary. What are you going to do to prevent it?
So the answer to that is absolutely not, for two reasons. The first is that we will maintain a free-flowing border at Dover. We will not impose checks in the port. It was utterly unrealistic to do so. We don't check lorries now. We're not going to be checking lorries in Dover in the future.
Okay, we're not going to be checking lorries in the future.
Absolutely clear, it cannot happen. The second point, well, it can't, and it won't.
The customs union.
I mean, because you're in Europe now, so there are no checks.
Now, this is, who's speaking is Mairead McGuinness. Mairead McGuinness, back at this time in 2018, she was the Vice President of the European Parliament. So she should know something about the European Union. She should know something about the customs union, the single market, and how trade operates within Europe. But let's continue.
When you leave Europe, there will be.
That's an announcement.
Let me be clear. We will not, in any circumstances, create a hard border in Dover that requires to stop every lorry in the port of Dover. It's not possible to do it.
What will you do then when you have tariffs between Europe and us?
So we will not stop lorries in the port of Dover. Goods flow through borders almost seamlessly around the world. Anyway, go to some of our ports on the East Coast that take goods from outside the European Union, where the goods flow through smoothly and depart pretty much as soon as they arrive.
Let's hear from the people.
But that's because there is an agreement on the types of goods that can come in. So some goods cannot come into the European Union via, in a sense, the single market. The single market eliminates certain goods from coming in. So that's why at that time in 2018 there was goods flowing in. It's because there were not, for example, chilled meats or certain types of vegetables. That's why that's why we're seeing the problems today. Because the UK is a third country, it needs access to the single market. It needs to import goods like food into it. That's why we're seeing the delays. And we're also seeing the problem with the delays, as Michael has pointed out here, that many of these trucks are going to have to take goods into the UK and then, sorry, Great Britain, I should say, because Northern Ireland is different. Take goods into Great Britain and then they're going to have to exit. And they don't want to be queuing up at the port of Dover because of the problems of being a third country. These checks have to be carried out. Now, the UK government seems to be wanting just to let things flow through and not carry out checks. But the problem with that is that you're going to allow smuggling. It's going to impact the exchequer because they're supposed to collect the fees, the taxes, the customs duties, stuff like that on those goods. This is all going to get worse, it seems, in summer because at the moment this is not peak period. It's going to get worse. And Brexiteers like Chris Grayling, it seems, will continue to pump the idea that this is nothing to do with Brexit. It's the pandemic. Okay, it's no longer the pandemic. It's P&O ferries. Okay, it's no longer P&O ferries. It's something else. It's whatever the next issue is. They'll say it's not Brexit. It's ideological. We have to defend Brexit at every turn. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think about all of this. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.